An MP had an intimate relationship with Jorgen Fenech, a new book claims. 70% of youths want to leave Malta for good, and the FATF will be updating its grey list this evening. This and more on today's episode of Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. I am your host, David Gakurpani. With me today is Jonathan Cilia, and after today's headlines, stay tuned for an interview with Malta's Film Commissioner, Johan Grek. So, Jonathan, want to take us off with the first one?
Yeah, starting off with a major story, a bit of an explosive accusation leveled at a popular young Maltese MP. Rosian Kettayar, a new book claims, had an intimate relationship with the murder suspect in the Daphne Caruana Galizia murder case, Jorgen Fenech. Now, obviously, Rosian Kettayar is quite a prominent young MP, a former cabinet member. She's been outspoken on a number of issues. She even led the reform for cannabis as well as prostitution until very recently when she was removed. And in Mark Camilleri's new book, A Rent Seeker's Paradise, among some of the most major claims involved, one of them says that Rosian Kettayar had an intimate relationship with Jorgen Fenech. So a quote from the book says, in fact, Rosian had an intimate relationship with Daphne's alleged murderer, Jorgen Fenech, who gave her corrupt money on the pretense she had helped him broker a property deal. Obviously, he's referring back to an infamous deal over a Medina residence where Rosian was apparently paid 9,000 euros by Jorgen Fenech as part of this deal. Now, this is obviously a major allegation. We've reached out to Kettayar to kind of get her reaction to this. She has not responded. Now, as far as rumors of intimate relationships with Jorgen Fenech vis-a-vis Maltese MEPs, this is not the first time we've heard of this, right, David?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to June 2020, then Economy Minister Silvio Schembri had, just literally dropped the bomb and randomly told us, just so you know, I don't have any sexual relationships with Jorgen Fenech. That was a bit more of a direct denial. So, I mean, we have yet to have, more of an official statement from Rosian Kettayar, but I mean, unfortunately, this is a rumor that has been around for well over a year now, and it, of course, remains to be seen whether something as explosive as this rumor will be confirmed. On to our other headline. 70% of youths want to leave Malta for good. There's been a lot of talk about this, brain drain that Malta is currently going through. And this new survey, a survey that was conducted by EY, the Generate Youth survey, is, the results are quite staggering. 70%, we're talking about nearly 3/4 of the young population of Malta wants to leave for good. The results, which were published this morning, had to do with questions that were asked to 750 millennials and Gen Zs. They were asked which part of the world would they want to live or work at. 28% of Gen Zs and 26% of millennials chose Malta, so it dropped by a few percentage points. That's very low, at least as far as I'm concerned. Meanwhile, those two figures rose all the way up to 60% for other European countries. So it was mostly European countries that Malta's youth said that they want to relocate to. There were only a handful for North America and South America, Asia and Australia. EY kind of noted that it is, their specific quote is, while spending some time away from our shores is certainly beneficial, definitely can testify to that, as it opens young people up to different cultures. It should be noted as a cause for concern when you have 70% of your future generation saying, I want to be out of here. There were also other questions asked as to what youth believe are Malta's biggest challenges. You would have thought, of course, that last year the COVID-19 pandemic would be way up there, but now it seems that with COVID fatigue and with much of the population being vaccinated, there was a massive drop. There was a 39% drop, in fact. And on the agenda, instead, we had overdevelopment, environment, traffic, and international image. I mean, we could have seen all of those coming with, all of these massive construction projects happening, all these infrastructure ones, traffic jams, which have become, part and parcel of every day, and the international image with the recent grey listing, of course.
This is one of those stories that is both surprising and unsurprising at the same time. So on one hand, we have free education in Malta, you have a very safe society, you have a lot of family support, friend support, it's not that quite easy to kind of fall through the cracks of Malta, even though there are some cases as well. However, at the same time, we are part of a very, very, very small island. And I think when you go abroad, especially if you live abroad or maybe you study abroad as part of Erasmus, you start to understand just how, unfortunately, insignificant Malta can be in some fields. So I'm not at all surprised to hear that young Maltese people do want to move abroad, especially nowadays. We're more interconnected than ever. You see how people are living abroad on TikTok, on Instagram. You see what opportunities there are abroad. So it is a bit shocking. And in fact, we wanted to see if these numbers kind of checked out ourselves. So we held a poll asking people if they wanted to live in Malta or live abroad on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And the numbers kind of spoke for themselves. So with over 1,000 votes on Facebook, 80% of people said that they wanted to move abroad, 71% on Instagram, and 79% on LinkedIn. So the numbers do check out. So do let us know in the comments below, if you're a young person, why you would want to move abroad, or alternatively, why you'd want to stay in Malta. And moving on to the next story, a bit of an update this evening to the infamous grey list that Malta has been placed on. So the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, will be updating its list this evening. Now, it's not expected that Malta is going to be having its status changed. Malta was placed on the list a few weeks, months back, and it's expected that we'll be on the grey list for at least 18 months, though this could change. So this evening, the FATF will be updating the list. It is worth, staying tuned, monitoring it just on the off chance that Malta does get, its status changed. However, what's likely to happen this evening is that Turkey will be added to the grey list. So now Turkish authorities are going to have to start dealing with the ramifications of being added to the grey list, just as Malta is.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty hilarious to see, well, not hilarious, quite ironic, in fact, because we've been talking about this grey listing for quite some time now. It seems like, it's the newest shadow to be cast upon Malta. Now that we kind of got COVID slightly out of the conversation. And then the first thing we were told was it might take up to 18 months, which is kind of the first thing we were told with COVID. Like, this is going to be a year and a half of this, just so we're all aware. Of course, some real life effects have already kind of, started to seep in through our society. Just a couple of weeks ago, we ran a story about this Maltese man who has an account with a Polish bank, and he was told that by the end of this month, he needs to stop making any transactions in the island. So these are not just, massive businesses that are suffering the brunt. These are even citizens that will start feeling the effects, hopefully up to 18 months, but let's wait and see. Meanwhile, in a clip shared on Facebook by Environment Minister Arun Farrugia himself, the minister directly addressed the issue of the rumoured snap election. Kind of. So he did kind of directly address it, but not really as to whether there's going to be any confirmed date anytime soon. Basically, he skirted a question on whether the election is coming soon, sooner than expected in 2021 or later, as planned in 2022. And he told a net journalist who was persisting with this question, basically that the Nationalist Party wants a snap election so that they can get rid of their leader, Bernard Grech. He said that that's what I'm hearing on the streets. He was told, that the streets have uncertainty, and basically his reply was, well, the uncertainty was seeded by the Nationalist Party that introduced this. The journalists are asking about it at every press conference, of course, because the rumor is there. He went on to say, and he even repeated it on his Facebook post, that the PN has been saying there's going to be a snap election for the last 4 years now. I mean, side note, we technically had a snap election 4 years ago, and the hopes are that they change the leader. Technically, we did have leaders changing on both sides of the aisle throughout these last 4 years. I mean, at a point we were going to lose count there of what was happening. Of course, speculations have been around, for months now, and they've been flying, however, for the last few weeks. So now, for the last few weeks, we've been hearing about this supposed snap election pretty much every single day. There's some sort of update sometimes. Of course, the rumored date is November, and it keeps getting closer and closer. No announcement has been made, so it leaves, some scope there for maybe what the Prime Minister Roberto Bella has been saying when he tries to avoid the question, maybe it is really just a rumor after all. But this new theory, this new theory is interesting because all of a sudden we're hearing it quite a lot from different people. Just last week, when debating Shadow Finance Minister Mara De Marco, Deputy Prime Minister Chris Fearn himself said that maybe the Nationalist Party really just wants an election, a snap election, just to get rid of Bernard Grech. It's interesting. I mean, I guess now it's funny and interesting to see that like most of the Labour Party is kind of agreeing on this theory that like we're suddenly hearing, but it's yet to be seen. A, whether a snap election will be called, and B, whether this is really the Nationalist Party's theory of running through another leader.
Yeah, no, whether the election is going to be this year or next year, make no mistake, Malta is in election season. I mean, let's be honest, Malta's never really not an election season, but we have the billboards coming up now. We've got these nice political jabs coming from the minister. Very, very par for the course for election season. So, yes, now we wait the final date to be announced, whether it's this year or next year, but we can expect a lot more of these political jabs coming from the ministers and shadow ministers. And talking about political jabs, moving on to the final story of today, Labour MEP Alex Saliba has he put up a post yesterday kind of announcing and celebrating the new season of research for bird trappers. Now, if you're not aware, Malta's kind of got this very interesting research deal going on after getting a derogation from the EU that the Maltese government asked for over songbirds, research into songbirds. The thing is this, it seems to be, very much mixed up with trapping, and the FK&K are involved as well. So a lot of people online reacted quite negatively to the story. They felt that research was just another word for hunting or trapping, and this led to an avalanche of spicy Maltese memes. People were saying that, there's a new definition of the word research. And it seemed that, a lot of people had a lot to say about this. Now, I think it is very interesting to see that, Malta is doing research in collaboration with trappers, a group that historically in Malta is seen as people who harm birds, even though you could argue that very few groups know more about birds and hunters and trappers on the island. But, there were some really fun memes online, right?
I mean, when you think about it, hunting, trapping, all of this has been divisive for decades now, way before my time. Like I was born into this being controversy, basically. But so there's always this love-hate relationship, with hunting and with traditions and all of that. But one thing's for sure, the memes were glorious. There were a bunch of memes, there were people saying, I love the smell of research in the morning. There were people saying, I'm hearing research happening at like a deafening roar. There was one guy who changed the lyrics to the Big Bang Theory soundtrack, saying, unraveling the mystery of the big research. There was Einstein got brought into this. Linguists said the lexical change should change from hunting to all of that. So, I mean, if all else fails, Malta will always excel at memes. And thank you from here to all the memesters out there. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of the headline section of Lovin Daily. Stay tuned right after this very quick clip for an interview with Malta's Film Commissioner, Johan Grech.
The Taliban's rapid takeover of Afghanistan has brought renewed attention on a topic the EU has so far failed to get a grip of: the migration of asylum seekers. Asylum seeking is a complex issue with many facets that need to be weighed together. The safety of people seeking international protection and the concerns of border countries like Malta, Italy, Spain and many others, who are oftentimes left isolated during this continued crisis. The Arab Spring and the Syrian civil war in 2015 saw massive movement across the Mediterranean. And while numbers have certainly decreased since then, many still die while making their way to safety on European shores. The European Parliament and the EU are doing their best to help, with a €9.88 billion Asylum, Integration and Migration Fund, which has now been boosted because of the situation in Afghanistan. It looks to manage migration flows, ease integration of third country nationals, improve border management and contribute to the fight against irregular migration. At Parliament's request, the money should also serve to push member states to share responsibility for hosting refugees and asylum seekers more fairly across the EU, something which has been lacking despite calls for solidarity. The fund will also contribute to a common, harmonized visa policy, while also introducing protective measures to help vulnerable people arriving in Europe, in particular unaccompanied children. These are all initiatives that look to balance the major concerns while helping countries like Malta. The Afghan crisis has spurred Parliament to act quickly. Beyond supporting neighbouring countries to help create humanitarian corridors, it is also calling for a special visa programme for Afghan women who are seeking protection from the Taliban regime. However, Parliament made it clear that this cannot replace a fully fledged European asylum and migration policy, which focuses on resettling those most at risk and most vulnerable. It's clear that people need our help, and border countries need all the assistance they can get. The time to come together is now.
And we're back on Lovin Daily today. We've got a very special guest in the building, Johan Greg, Malta's Film Commissioner. Thanks so much for coming in this evening.
Thanks for inviting me.
So we wanted to bring you in because it's a very exciting time for Maltese film. There's lots of international projects in Malta. There's lots of Maltese projects doing incredible, but there was a great announcement recently, the Malta Film Awards, right?
And we are so excited about it.
So tell me exactly, what is it, when is it going to be, and why is it important for us to have a Malta Film Awards right now in 2020?
Today we are 100 days away from the event itself.
Nice.
So the Malta Film Awards will be held at the Mediterranean Conference Center on 29th of January, Saturday 29th of January 2022. It's going to be a big event where we will celebrate the success story of the film industry in Malta. We will celebrate our talent, which we are so proud of it.
Absolutely.
We are so proud. And if I can say, our story, the film industry in Malta and television, it's nearly 100 years old. And we want to recognize heavily the industry. I'm pretty sure that the industry is growing further and is going to be, a success industry, like any other industries here in Malta, which are doing already a success.
So give me some of the details. What are some of the categories, if we've gone that far? And what are some of the values, or what are you looking for in submissions?
So it's the first time that the Malta Film Commission, together with PBS, Public Broadcasting Services, are organizing the Malta Film Awards. It's the first time in our history. And we want to award all those producers who, throughout this story, nearly 100 years, have produced feature films, TV series, short films and documentaries.
Amazing.
So it's a special edition. This is, it's a celebration of the Maltese talent, the skills of our people whom we are so proud of. So any producer who in the past or in the last year or so have produced these type of productions, applications will end next week.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
29th of October, and then there will be a team of judges, local and international.
Brilliant.
Who will go through the applications, and nominations will be announced in December.
That's brilliant. So is there going to be a category for individual actors or actresses as well, or is it more focused on the producers and the creative team and that level?
The local producers and co-producers, Maltese co-producers, can apply for these.
Okay.
Then once we receive the applications, then we can establish the awards accordingly.
So, you said it's
we
about
want
100 years.
everyone to join. We want everyone to join. And this is an inclusive call for everyone to join. We are so excited about this project. It's another project of the Malta Film Commission. We are, as you said, the industry is growing. We kept working, especially during the pandemic. And we kept creating jobs, because at the end of the day, it is our job to ensure that we keep we stay on top of the competition. And Malta in the last years have been also attracting quite big numbers.
Absolutely, and in fact, we'll get to that. So on the Film Awards, is it going to be an annual thing? That's the plan, or is it early days? We don't know yet.
what I can say is that this is a special event to start marking the 100 years of experience in filmmaking in Malta. Our objective is to have these events being organized in the years to come. But it's still early to say.
Got you. So right now we said, very exciting time. We've got Lutzu, which is just doing incredible.
It's a
Sundance,
project,
Oscars.
it's a project, Lutzu is a project that we are also proud of. We supported Lutzu through Screen Malta and through our cash rebate systems. And it's always, good to see, local producers making a success, not just in Malta, but beyond Malta. And we keep supporting all projects to ensure that we keep strengthening our product.
What's incredible is, apart from Maltese talent being shown through all these productions, there's actually a lot of international talent coming to Malta. I think last month, Love Malta had revealed that Below Deck Mediterranean, a very popular show on Netflix, was actually being filmed in Malta. Obviously, there's Apple TV's Foundation. We saw the Germa Palace, recently used in a production. So
Malta's
very exciting.
Malta's known for its locations. It's known for the water tanks. I keep repeating this message because it is our product. And it is also known for excellent crew. We, the Commission, our objective is not just to get projects in Malta, but also to keep creating opportunity for all, for the many, not the few. And every time that I go on set, I keep meeting crew, listening to their stories.
What are they saying?
I keep listening to their stories. And it's also, when I go there, I meet people, I meet crew which have been working in the industry for the last years, and also seeing new people coming in, and this is what keep us, moving forward, and keeping us working day and night to ensure that we are going to create a world-class film industry in Malta, and we are going to achieve that dream, because there is the commitment, there is the ambition to ensure that we leave something better than we found it today.
No, you're obviously very passionate about this industry and you're pushing the Film Awards, so it's a very exciting time. So beyond the Malta Film Awards and coming to the end of the interview, where do you see this industry going over the next year or two? What's the best case scenario as far as you're concerned?
I'm very optimistic about the future. With regards to Forte Gasly, we want to, and we are working with the government, with various ministries, to ensure that Forte Gasly keeps serving as to the film industry, as a place where films can be set, and where also we can attract screen tourism to it. Also, we are investing heavily. The government is investing heavily in the master plan of the film studios. We are about to start building the first sound stages.
Wow, brilliant.
Which is going to lead to careers. That is our ambition. And yes, I have this passion about the industry because I love the industry. And we have the vision to lead, to ensure that we really create a world-class film industry in Malta.
Guys, if you're a director, a producer, a filmmaker,
join us.
Jump in. It's until next week, you said?
Yeah.
The submission date?
And all throughout, we want to make Malta a player on the world stage.
I think we're getting there. We're moving there very quickly, actually. It's very, very exciting. So once again, if you have something to submit to this, submit, get involved. You might be awarded for your work. Johan, thank you once again for coming with us.
We are just 100 days away.
There you go. So exciting, so exciting.
Fired up, we are.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. As always, from myself and the team, have an evening full of love.